Welcome to Rookie Recap, a new show on UCTV Sports where we'll dive into the debut season of the 58 players that were drafted into the 2023 NBA Draft. I'm your host, Julliana Bravo, and today we'll be looking at notable moments, interesting statistics, and breaking down the highs and lows of the first 15 players that were selected. We have a lot to get through, so without further ado, let's get into it. Drafted first overall was, of course, Victor Wembanyama. I'm here to say that he is truly doing really well. He is averaging about 20 points per game. He made an incredible 38 points versus the Phoenix Suns in one of his very first games. Let me just give you some stats so you understand how good of a player he truly is. He has scored the most points by anyone else on this draft at a total of 843 points. He is scoring on average the most points per game by a rookie, like I said, at 20.6. He is averaging the most rebounds per game at 10.1, averaging the most blocks per game at 3.1, the most field goals per game at 7.6. So I think where he really excels is that he can deliver. One of his weaknesses lie, I'm not sure if this is fair to say, but I think his three-pointer is something he definitely needs to work on, especially in this day and age, in this NBA game. He's only at 29.9%, which is not bad, but I think if he wants to continue to become a better player, he needs to work on his three-pointer. Next up is Brandon Miller. He was drafted to the Charlotte Hornets. So far, he is averaging the most minutes per game out of any other rookie at a total of 31 minutes. He also just seems to be very well integrated into the team. He is a starter for most games and a good addition, seeing that LaMelo Ball is kind of in and out day by day. He's also relatively consistent. His last 5 games look something like this. Last game he scored 29 points, the game before that 12, the game before that 5, the game before that 27 or 23, the game before that 27. So obviously he's relatively consistent in the last 5 games. I'm not going to give him any weaknesses right now just because he is a strong player and fits in really well with the Charlotte Hornets. Drafted 3rd overall was Scoot Henderson. Now he went to the Blazers and I think he's doing relatively well. In November he was inactive for most of the month because of an ankle injury, and I think the reason he's not starting too many games is because he's competing with Malcolm Brogdon for the starter position, and obviously Brogdon is a seasoned player, he's an older player, so that position is going to go to him. I think he is a strong player. He scored 33 points in a single game, also against the Suns. His recent games have looked relatively good. He scored 22 points his last game, 4, 6, 11, and 19 games. He has also the most assists per game at 4.6 and the second most total assists by a rookie at 174 assists. So I think obviously where he really excels is that he's able to work with others, and I was taking a look at his highlights and he's extremely quick on the court, and I think that is due to his time in the G League. I think that kind of just prepared him for what the NBA is really like. I think he just needs to shoot a little bit better, just work on his shooting. Right now he's at 37% from the field and 30.6% from 3. Not bad at all, but I'm just saying he might need to work on that a little bit more. Drafted 4th overall was Aman Thompson. He was inactive for a large portion of November and December due to an ankle injury that sent him down to the G League, but I don't think that's a bad thing. He just hasn't really been used that much in the recent games, and he's also just started 1 game. Now despite that, I think where he really excels is his steals. He's averaging about 1 steal per game, and I think overall he's just great in terms of defense for the team. But I think his weaknesses lie is that his 3-point shot is relatively poor at 18.2% average. So I think if he works on his 3-point shot, just because it is so much lower than some of the other rookies on this list, he can really become a stronger player. Drafted 5th overall was Oar Thompson, twin brother of Aman Thompson. He has played every single game, and his best month was in November. He averaged 11.7 points and a total of 8.8 total rebounds per game. However, we've recently seen a decrease in points and usage. His last 5 games have been okay. He scored 4, 9, 8, 7, and 0 points in the last 5 games. But his best game was against the Bucks, where he scored 22 points and a total of 9 rebounds. And I think where he excels is that he's really good defensively, just like his brother. He's averaging about 1 block per game, and he also has the most steals on the team with 40 steals and the most blocks on the team with 43 blocks in total. Where his weaknesses lie is that he's averaging about 14.7 three-pointers made, and he also has the most personal fouls by a rookie this season at 132 fouls. So I think that's something he really needs to work on. Drafted 6th overall was Anthony Black. He is playing a lot of games. His recent games, although his average is not too good, his recent game was really good. He scored 20 points against the Mavericks. Now, this was the same game where Doncic made an impressive 45 points. So I think the fact that he made 45 points was a little bit overshadowed by Anthony Black's 20 points, but I still think that Anthony Black's 20 points is super impressive, and I think just a real testament of what kind of player he is. He's a good player. He's also very quick on the court, and I was taking a look at his highlights. He knows exactly what to do and exactly where to go when the ball is passed to him, and he's also 4th in three-point percentage at Orlando at 38.1%. So I think that's where he really excels. He's a really strong physical player, but I think he just needs to improve overall. Drafted 7th overall was Bilal Coulibaly. He put up major double digits in November and December, but now we're seeing a little bit of a slow decline in points and a little bit of inconsistency when it comes to the amount of minutes he's averaging or he's playing versus the number of points that he's making. He's logging a lot of minutes but not scoring too much, although he is a strong player. We saw that by his last game. He scored 19 points. He's a strong player. He's good. He knows how to shoot. I think defensively he needs to work on that a little bit more. He kind of got pushed around. Maybe that's just because he is a rookie. I think where he excels is that he works really well with the Wizards. He's being utilized more and more as time goes on, and I think he's just getting a little bit more comfortable on the court. Drafted 8th overall was Jarace Walker. Now he is currently in the G League. I'm not too surprised that the Pacers aren't really utilizing him that much, just because they already have this established identity with those 3 key players and more. However, his recent games in the G League have been really impressive. He posted 20 points, 10 points, 15, 26 points, and 25 points in the last 5 games. So he's doing really well in the G League, but not only in the G League, in the NBA as well. His last NBA game, which I think was about 4 games ago, he posted 10 points, and in the game before that, he posted 15 points. So I think where he excels is that I think he can be relatively consistent if he's placed in a position in the Pacers. He's great in rebounds and assists, not only in the G League, but his NBA game as well. In his last NBA game, he made a total of 9 rebounds, which I think is really important. And as for the G League, he posted 4 defensive rebounds and 3 assists. So there's clearly a place where he shines, and I think if the Pacers do want to use him, that will not be a mistake. Drafted 9th overall was Taylor Hendricks from the University of Central Florida into the Utah Jazz. Again, he's not averaging too many points, and he was sent to the G League, but when he was with the Jazz, he was only utilized when they were up pretty significantly. His G League stats have been pretty good. He posted 5 points, 11 points, 15 points, and 16 points in the last 4 games. His rebounds, I think, is where he excels. He has posted 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 total rebounds in the last 5 games. Up next is Wallace. Now, he was drafted from the University of Kentucky into the Oklahoma Thunder, but I do think the Thunder want to utilize him and want him to be a part of the team, a key part of the team. Recently, he posted 5 points, 3 points, 4 points, 12 points, and 13 points in the last 5 games. So although he's not posting that many points, he is getting that NBA time, which I think is really important, especially for a rookie. I'm going to say I think it's going to be his time to shine very soon. Like I said, I do think the Thunder do want to utilize him. Maybe he's just getting a little bit more comfortable on the court and in this NBA status. Drafted 11th overall was Jet Howard. He went to the University of Michigan and was drafted into the Magic. Now, he has been in and out of the G League, but is currently in the G League. But he's doing really well. He's posted double digits in the last 4 games at 26, 22, 16, and 18 points. I think if the Magic want to utilize him, he will be an extremely impressive addition to the team. His scoring percentage is pretty strong. He's been in the mid-40s the last few games. And in terms of assists, he's also pretty strong. He posted 3 assists, 4 assists, and 3 assists again in the last 3 games. So I think he's a strong player. Drafted 12th overall was Derek Lively. Recent news said that he had broken his nose, which is really unfortunate. Obviously, that's going to sideline him for a couple of games at least. He has been really good for the Dallas Mavericks. He posted 20 points last game, 13 points the game before that, and 9 points the game before that one. He has the second most average rebounds per game as a rookie at 7.9, the second most blocks average per game at 1.4. I think where he needs to improve is I think he just needs to shoot a little bit more. Drafted 13th overall was Grady Dick. Now, he didn't play too many games with the Raptors, and he was sent to the G League, but now he's back. But his last couple of games have been a little inconsistent. He posted 0 points last game, 15 points the game before that, 6 games the game before that, 0 before, and 11 points before. His last game against the Bulls, like I said, he scored 0 points, but he did have 4 assists and 3 defensive rebounds. I was taking a look at his recent highlights, and kind of looked like it was the Bulls against the Raptors, 5 against 4. He wasn't really defending anyone. No one passed him the ball, but I have faith. I think he is an excellent player, and hopefully the Raptors start to utilize him a little bit more. Drafted 14th overall was UConn's very own Jordan Hawkins. Now, I want to give a statistic out. He is the only player that is averaging double digits per game other than the top 3 players. Now, he's averaging about 10.3 points per game. He has the most made 3-pointers by a rookie at 92 3-pointers. And I think where his weaknesses lie, this isn't his fault, but I just don't know if he's on the forefront of the Pelicans' mind. Obviously, they have Zion Williamson, who is a great player, but I just don't know if the New Orleans Pelicans are just going to continue using him as much as I personally think they should. Drafted 15th overall was Kobe Buffkin. Now, he injured his thumb in December, but came back to play, but then was sent to the G League. But despite being in the G League, he's doing really well, or he was doing really well. He scored 43 points in a recent game against the G League's Clippers, and he previously scored 33 points in a game against the Iowa Wolves. So he's a strong player. He's also averaging about 26.5 points per game in the G League. He did come back to play against the Lakers very recently, but he did not post up many minutes or any points. But I do think, if he's scoring 26 or averaging 26.5 points per game in the G League, I think he can be a good addition to the NBA. And those were the first 15 players that were drafted into the 2023 NBA draft. Next week we'll be looking at the next 15 players, and if you want a little bit of a preview, Jaime Jaquez Jr. has been killing it in the Miami Heat. He's been a great addition, so if you want to learn a little bit more about him, stay tuned for that video. I'm your host, Julliana Bravo, and this is UCTV Sports.